This is chapter 12D, comparing ratios and proportion. So in this chapter, we will understand the difference between ratio and proportion, then use these concepts to solve problems. So first you need to know the difference between a ratio and a proportion, and by this point maybe you do understand it, but let's make sure. So a ratio is a part-to-part relationship. So if we had a situation in my class, Miss Lou's math class, there are 6 boys and 9 girls. The ratio is 6 boys to 9 girls. It is a part-to-part relationship. And yes, of course, this can be reduced by 3. So that would leave 2 to 3. So for every 2 boys, there are 3 girls. So if I want to maintain this ratio in my class, I could have 4 boys and 6 girls, or I can keep increasing it. So this ratio is kind of like the magic number for keeping equality in a classroom. Now, proportion is a part to whole. We see proportions written as fractions, percentages, and decimals. So the proportion of boys in Miss Lou's class is 6 out of, and it's a whole, so how many students are there in total? Well, there's 6 boys and 9 girls. There's 15 people in total. So there are 6 boys out of 15 in Miss Lou's class. This is a proportion. Just like there are 9 out of 15 girls. There are 9 girls out of 15 students in Miss Lou's classroom. These are proportions. And yes, these fractions can be reduced. So 9/15ths can be 3/5, or known as 60%, or 0.6 as a decimal, and 6/5 would be reduced down to 2/5, which is the same as saying 40%, or 0.4 as a decimal. So right here, ratios, part to part. On the other side, these are proportions, and I've run out of space on my page, but you get the idea, proportions, and they are fractions, percentages, and decimals. They are part to wholes. So let's solve some problems. Wendy has a music collection of 9 CDs and 6 DVDs. What proportion of Wendy's collection is CDs and what proportion is DVDs? Make sure you answer both questions. And in B, what is the ratio of CDs to DVDs in Wendy's collection? Pause. So let's look at it. What proportion of Wendy's collection is CDs? 9 out of 15, which is 3 out of 5, which is 60%. What proportion is DVDs? 6 out of 15, which we talked about actually in the last slide, and it's 2/5, which happens to be 40%. What is the ratio of CDs to DVDs? CDs is mentioned first to DVDs, so write down CDs 9, 2, which is always represented here, and DVDs 6. We can reduce this by 3, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. That is the ratio. Last problem. Germaine and Gina share 150 pounds in the ratio of 3 to 2. How much money do they each receive? Do they each receive? Pause. So, Germaine and Gina. Germaine gets 3 parts, Gina gets 2 parts. Altogether, that is 5 parts. However, in reality, we actually have 150 we're sharing. So, I know to get from 5 to 150, I have to multiply by 30, meaning I have to multiply by 30 on this side. So 3 times 30 is 90, and 2 times 30 is 60. So Germaine receives 90 pounds and Gina receives 60 pounds. And 90 plus 60 does add up to 150, so that's how I know I did this correctly. That's it.